Hi, I'm Ray Phonash. I live in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, which is just outside Valley Forge, PA. You may remember Valley Forge from your days in history class, where you learned about the American Revolution and George Washington and that whole big thing. So, my career has always focused on physics, mathematics, mechanical engineering, and now teaching. I've been teaching either high school physics or middle school general science for the past 12 years now. Based on my experience as a middle school science teacher, I've seen that students who are very successful in my class are not always the best at mathematics. They don't have strong skills and they struggle sometimes even, but they are very successful in science. In fact, I've noticed that most of my advanced students have excellent reading skills. I know that at higher levels, such as in graduate school and even beyond, science and mathematics form a symbiotic relationship. They really depend upon each other, and in fact, they actually merge. But I also know that in middle school, students are placed into science classes based on their math skills. And I've noticed that this may not always be the best procedure for administrators to follow this rule. And I was always wondering, is there a better indicator which might show a student's science success and how they're going to do? So, I wondered if maybe it could be tied to their reading achievement, their reading abilities, their reading interest, their fluency. I needed to see if there was in fact a correlation between the two. I researched to see if there were any studies done on this topic. I couldn't find any qualitative data on the internet, but I did find a lot of quantitative data. There have been research studies done, international research studies in fact, on middle school students and high school students in upwards of say 50, 60 countries to see how they did in relation to each other on standardized scoring. One of these tests is called the PISA, P-I-S-A, and it stands for the Program for International Student Assessment. This is your biggest test around the world, and it matches up standardized questions, again, from probably 50 or 60 countries. All right? So what happened when we check those against other tests that are done, again, internationally, called the PIRLS, the Progress in International Reading Literacy Study, we found that in both of these studies that students achieve high reading achievement and high science achievement, and in fact they do go hand in hand. There is a high correlation between the two. A high correlation so much, in fact, that they have discovered that students who do well in science will have a higher reading achievement than students who are just have a pure base interest in science, which I found to be very unique and very interesting. So I created an action research plan. What we're going to do is we're going to see if that correlation exists in my school and see if we can redirect how our classes are scheduled for our students. So in my action research plan, the stakeholders are those who have involvement in the process, either developing it, conducting it, or are just directly affected by it. So these are going to include people like students, myself, co-teachers, peers, and administrators in my school community. And it's also going to include our whole district, whether it's just my school, but other schools as well. Data is going to be obtained from qualitative assessment of the students. Do they have interest in science? Do they have interest in reading? Do they feel that they are high achieving readers? Do they feel that they would want to pursue an area of science in the future? We're also going to look at quantitative data. We're going to take standardized test scores. We're going to take teacher-made scores. And we're going to compare, where a student falls in academic achievement with reading and compare it to that they would find in science. Once we have our data analyzed, we're going to look for this correlation, and then we're going to approach our administrators to see if we can revamp class scheduling based on reading and not mathematics. So the whole timetable for this action research plan is probably about 6 months. I'm thinking that it's going to take that long to get data from prior teachers, get qualitative data from them as well. How did they feel that the student did? Were there weaknesses? Were there strengths that students had? Did they feel there was a correlation? We're going to do some background research on that. We're probably going to follow that up with about 2 to 3 months of analysis, see if this correlation truly does exist, or is it something I'm just imagining. And then we're probably looking about another month or so to present this to administrators, our school board, to see if we can actually start looking at addressing student placement in classes for next school year. And maybe we're going to find that some students are just going to do better overall. So my goal with this is to raise student achievement levels in science. We're going to do that quantitatively by looking at what we call the PSSAs, which is our Pennsylvania State Standard Assessment courses or testing. So we can compare everyone across the state. We're going to look at this as to, do we see qualitatively, do students feel they have more interest in science? Do they feel they're succeeding more? Do they feel more comfortable with studying science? And are teachers and administrators seeing an improvement in our overall building scores? Do we see responses from our 8th grade teachers that our 7th graders are now approaching them being more qualified in science, and see if maybe this is making a difference. So that is my action research plan. I hope you like it. I hope maybe we can implement this on a level of multiple districts and multiple schools. Thank you. I appreciate your time.